Aye, Shepherd's Pie, greetings from the Philippines. I'm back. Going to do a video today, the Philippines versus Cambodia. Because I've been asked to do this a few times in the comments. People seem to be interested in, the Philippines versus Cambodia and Thailand and vice versa. So hopefully you'll find it useful. I'll say from the offset, I'm no expert on Cambodia. No expert on the Philippines either. So these are just my observations. I'm sure there will be some people out there who spent a lot longer in Cambodia who will disagree with what I say. And I'm sure there will be some people who live in the Philippines a lot longer than me who disagree with what I say. So it's just my own opinions, my own observations, take them or leave them. In the interest of transparency, probably spent about a year in Cambodia, primarily in Siem Reap. Never stayed there long term. What I used to do is, I used to have to do visa runs when I was in Thailand. So I'd cross the border every few months, and a lot of the time I'd go to Cambodia. Never stayed for more than a month at a time, but if you put the whole time together, it would come to probably just over a year, and it was primarily in Siem Reap. So, but also Kompot, which was nice as well. Obviously, in the Philippines, I'm comparing it to Negros and Siquijor and potentially Cebu. Okay, so let's crack on. So if you're going to move over there, obviously one of your most important considerations is going to be visas. If we're comparing the two countries, which obviously we are, the Philippines wins hands down in terms of visas if you're under the age of 55. Now, it's not so long ago that Cambodia was one of the easiest countries in the world to move to as an expat. They used to have these things called business visas. You could literally get off the airport, buy a business visa for, I can't remember if it was $200 or $300, and you were good for a year. You never had to form a business, you never had to do anything. You could just, at the end of the year, you could get another one. They called them business visas, but no one used them for business visas. They were just ways of staying in the country long term, very cheaply. Didn't have to prove any funds or anything like that. But they're long gone. You can still get business visas, but you have to actually open a business. You have to produce the books, accounts, register a company, etc., etc. So business visas are what they say on the tin. They're business visas. Once you get to 55 in in Thailand, God Lord, once you get to 55 in Cambodia, you can get a retirement visa, and the requirements are pretty easy. I think it's $800 a month you've got to have, and then you're entitled to a retirement visa, which you can change and renew annually. I've heard a lot of people in comments and forums and things say you don't even have to prove you earn $800. So as I understand it, you just have to say you earn more than $800. Don't think you have to produce any funds or records or anything like that. No deposits in a bank, dead easy. Under the age of 55, it's a lot trickier now. Obviously, not giving financial advice, visa advice, you need to double check all of these. It's a while since I've been over there, so part of what I'm saying is my own experiences, but in terms of the visas, it's you'll have to do your own research. This is just what I believe to be the case. When I used to go there, you could cross the border, you got a visa on arrival, and it was about $30 to get, and it told you to stay there for a month. Now, be aware one thing: if you cross, I don't think it's the same in the airports. Well, I know it's easier in the airports, but if you cross the border by land into Cambodia from Thailand, for example, there are a hell of a lot of schemes going there. You can pay a hell of a lot more for your visa. The second you walk across the border, you will have people trying to sell you visas, this and that, and the people on the boat, on the coaches you're crossing over with will have this deal, etc., etc. If you go with any of them, you're gonna pay more. What you need to do is you need to go to the immigration office, make sure you go to the right place, try and find out where it is. Do not be dissuaded by these people who are all pulling you, come this way, come that way. I missed the visa office once, and I bought a visa directly from a couple of Cambodian policemen, all in uniform, etc. They sorted it out. They charged me $15 more than it should have been. Not big money in the grand scale of things, but it's very easy to get ripped off when you cross the border. Because there's a weird thing about the police in Cambodia. When you're in the borders, places like that, there are police everywhere. Everyone in uniforms, etc., etc. When you get to like Siem Reap, I probably saw 2-3 police the whole time I was there. You know, they only ever seem to be where there's money to be made on visas and things. Don't really see them. Certainly not to the extent you see them driving around the Philippines. If you're younger than 55, so you're going to have to get the 1 month visa on arrival. I think you can extend that for a month, but then that's it in terms of tourist visas. What you can do though, apparently, is you can, because a lot of people go to Cambodia to work, to teach English, etc. Because there's a lot of people doing that, and there's a lot of people volunteer. So what you can do, apparently, if you get the right visa on arrival, again, do your research, you can extend for 6 months on the basis that you're thinking about opening a business or you're looking for a job. So I don't think it's too difficult to go to a 7-month stay there. But after that, you're going to have problems. You need to have found a job, or you need to have decided on a business or whatever. If you're under 55, you're going to have real difficulties after that. So if you contrast that to the Philippines, where you can come from most countries, certainly nearly all the Western countries, arrive for a month, visa free, then you can extend in either 1 month or 2 month or 6 month extensions up to 36 months. Doesn't come any easier than that. So you've got to say that in terms of ease and being user friendly, nothing beats the Philippines on visas, unless you're 55. Then obviously it's a different ballgame. It's like that with Thailand. Once you get to 50, it's easy, but the Philippines is easy for any age group in comparison to other Asian countries. I say, let's look at language. Language will be a problem in Cambodia. Not many people speak English. Obviously, if you go to places like where I used to stay, a month at a time, Siem Reap, there were a lot of people that spoke English. But once you get out of those areas, your average Cambodian doesn't speak English, and Khuma's not an easy language to learn, I would imagine. I never really tried because I was never staying there long term, but I imagine it would be on a par in terms of difficulty to learn with Thai. And I think you'd need it if you moved anywhere outside, say Kompot or Phnom Penh or Siem Reap. You'd need to learn the language, I would imagine, because the Khumas, they're very friendly people. They smile just like the Thais and that do. You know, if you've got a problem, they'll try and help you, but they're quite reserved. They're quite a conservative culture. Although they're polite, they're more, not standoffish, I'd say conservative. They're not, as outgoing naturally as Filipinos or Thais seem to be. But good people, nice people. I mean, I like the Cambodians a lot. If we look at cost of living now, strange thing about Cambodia is whenever I've been there, I have found it to be very cheap. Considerably cheaper than Thailand. But when you get talking to expats that live over there, because you get a lot of expats who move between Thailand and Cambodia. Whether they've met Cambodian girlfriends or not, I don't know, but a lot of the expats you'll meet in Cambodia or you see on the forums have spent a lot of time in Thailand. And when someone says the cost of living is cheaper than in Thailand, they'll argue it. Why do you think the cost of living is cheaper? Why do you think this, etc.? Well, I can only give you my experiences. Hotel accommodation in Cambodia is very cheap, a lot cheaper than Thailand. You can get some amazing hotels in places like Siem Reap for half the price the equivalent ones would cost you in Thailand. They got some expensive hotels there as well. I mean, it's like anywhere, but generally I found certainly the Airbnb and that kind of thing are cheaper than in Cambodia than they are in Thailand. Food seems to be pretty much a muchness, not in terms of quality. I think Thai food's better. Very few places beat Thai food, but there are some nice Cambodian dishes. An interesting thing I've been told and I've read and things, I mean, I don't know the veracity of it or not, but Cambodian food used to be, when you go back 100 years, traditional Cambodian food apparently was amazing. But when you had the old Khmer Rouge and the Pol Pot and the killing fields and that kind of thing, when you tried the year zero and wipe out the previous culture, apparently a lot of the recipes were lost. So a lot of the Cambodian food eaten, some of these amazing dishes were lost over time. Now whether that's right or not, I don't know. I would tend to believe it, because some of the hotels we stayed in, it was amazing how good the quality of food was in terms of the Thai food and the Western food. So got a lot of good cooks and chefs over there. No doubt if they had the recipes, they could make amazing food. Doesn't seem to be as spicy as Thai food as well. They don't, like the pet so much in Cambodia. It's been my experience. Alcohol, very cheap in Cambodia. I think it's the only country I've ever been to where it's cheaper than the Philippines. I mean, incredibly cheap. They've got a beer there, Anchor, and you can get it for 50 American cents for a pint, or a litre, or whatever the measurement is over there, but a big glass. Because they use the dollar over there. They got the Cambodian riel as well, but it's a crazy currency. It's like thousands of riel to the pound. So primarily they use dollars, American dollars there, which will be obviously very simple if you're an American. Invariably though, when you buy something in dollars, they'll give you the change in riel, which you invariably end up giving away to poor people and things, street people, because it's a strange currency. I'd have to Google it to work out it is, but it's thousands and thousands. You can have a 10,000 real note and you think you've got a load of money. You've got $1 or something ludicrous like that. Accommodation is cheaper there as well. And when you look at apartments and things, it's a strange thing about Cambodia, strange thing about Thailand compared to the Philippines. I know you can get some Western style studio apartments and one bedroom apartments in Manila and Cebu, in terms of they've got the Western kitchen designs and all that kind of thing. But they're expensive and they're small. I mean, it's quite amazing how small I've seen when I've looked online and in the big cities compared to Thailand. And in Cambodia, there are, certainly in Siem Reap, there are a lot of apartments and things available, 1-2 bedroom, and they're generally designed like Western European standards, fitted kitchens and all the rest of that. Very hard to get that in the Philippines. I've not seen many at all, and certainly not in the price ranges of Cambodia. Because if you go Phnom Penh, you can get some amazing apartments and things there. I mean, obviously areas matter, but some really nice accommodation. A lot cheaper than you seem to be able to do in Manila or Cebu. I mean, big apartments and things. Not these, shall we say, compact and bijou apartments they seem to want to sell you in Cebu and Manila. So when you take all that into account, because from my experience, the food's about the same kind of price. Street food probably a little bit more expensive in Cambodia, but in terms of nice restaurants, nice sit-down restaurants, I found it cheaper in Cambodia than it was in Thailand, in say Bangkok or Pattaya. Alcohol's a lot cheaper in Cambodia than it is in Thailand or the Philippines. So why people say it's the same cost of living as in Thailand, I'm not quite sure. One thing that is very expensive though in Cambodia is cars. They've got this ridiculous system where it's you've got to pay 100% or maybe even be 200% import fee on cars that aren't made in Cambodia. Now they have the same thing in Thailand, but the difference is they make a lot of cars in Thailand. They don't make any in Cambodia. So car prices there seem to be like twice, some 3 times the price they are in Thailand. And the prices of cars in the Philippines, the ones that are made here, are cheaper than Thailand. So yeah, you're going to find that you know, your cars are going to be very expensive. Hence, you don't see many cars, and the cars you do tend to see are old. I mean, you know, 20, 30 years old. I imagine the garages and that just fix them up, patch them up kind of thing. But yeah, cars are very expensive. Scooters don't seem to be. So what I'm basically saying is, if you're going from the Philippines to Cambodia to live, I'm sure you will find whatever budget you were living on in the Philippines will be able to get you a very comfortable lifestyle in Cambodia. Certainly don't think Cambodia is more expensive than the Philippines. Can't see why it would be in terms of food, accommodation, alcohol, etc. Definitely would be in cars. Expat communities seem to be very different in Cambodia, in my experience, compared to Thailand. Because you've got 2 distinct types, particularly in Siem Reap. You've got a lot of younger expats there. Tend to be digital nomads, or they're starting up little businesses there, or they're teaching English. But a lot of very young ones. How they sort their visas out, I don't know. Presumably they find jobs or they find employment, but certainly compared to, say, where I am now in Dumaguete, much, much younger. And before people say you can't compare Siem Reap with Dumaguete, Siem Reap's a tourist destination, well, I can compare it with Sikihor then. Sikihor's a tourist destination. You didn't get many young expats in Sikihor. There were some, but certainly nowhere near the numbers, you know, percentage-wise that you get in Cambodia. But you also get a lot of older, seasoned expats over there. You know, ones who've been there, done everything. I found them quite interesting, to be honest with you. A lot of them seemed to have attitudes about Thailand and things like that, but they were, you know, yeah. You meet some interesting expats over there who've lived very full lives, travelled around Asia. Compare that to the Philippines. You will get some who are seasoned travellers, but a lot of the expats you meet over here, particularly ones from, you know, Northern America, they've not been to so many places. Philippines tends to be the one place they've lived outside. But when you get talking to expats, the older expats in Cambodia, they tend to have moved around. They'll have spent 10 years here and 10 years there. Why that is, I don't know. Just my observations. Infrastructure. The infrastructure isn't great in the Philippines when you compare it to places like Thailand. But in my experience, it's a hell of a lot better than it is in Cambodia. I mean, again, we talk about Siem Reap. Once you get there, the roads aren't bad. You know, you can drive around, you know, you get the odd dirt tracks and that like they do here. I mean, where I'm in Dumaguete, the main roads and that tend to be quite good. They're very congested. They're a lot more congested than they would be in, say, somewhere like Siem Reap. But the roads down from Bangkok, well, from the border to there are awful. I mean, we're talking mud tracks. It's you're bumping and you're rocking up and down. If you had a car over there, it's going to do it no favours. I mean, it really is. Once you get out of the towns and things, it's still a pretty wild place in terms of infrastructure and things like that, Cambodia. Phnom Penh, again, different animal, major city. A lot of poverty in Cambodia, but also a lot of money. You know, you go to Phnom Penh, you'll see lots of Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and things driving around, bumping around on the roads and that. Can't do them any good, but there's money there. But a lot of poverty. say more poverty in the Philippines. Very depressing seeing the street children out there in Cambodia. One of the reasons I could never live there, to be honest with you, I don't like to see poverty like that, which is terrible to say, really. I mean, in the sense that it upsets me. Not enough to go and work full time for a charity or something like that. I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but you know, when you're sitting in a nice restaurant, I found personally, and you're having a nice meal, and you see these kids on the street like you do in Siem Reap after dark, made me feel uncomfortable. Made me feel greedy, really. It's hard to explain, but you just sit there and you look at them and you think, this isn't fair. I can't enjoy my meal now. I've seen someone like that, basically living on the streets. It's tough to see. That's what I'm saying. It's tough to see. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't think I could live there permanently, seeing that every day without feeling guilty, compelled to do something about it. And the reality is, what can you do about it? I know, speaking to some people over there, it doesn't bother them, but it was one of the major factors that why I never thought about living in Cambodia, giving it a go longer term. Because I like Siem Reap. It's a nice town, city, whichever you want to call it. Phnom Penh's a nice capital, but you know, Siem Reap was never big enough for me. I mean, once you've done Angkor Wat and temples and you've seen a lot of the historical sites over there, there were waterfalls and things you can go to, but they're quite a long drive out, and they're nothing compared to the ones I've seen in the Philippines. And I'm not really a nature person, so I'd say in terms of, you know, waterfalls and rivers and lakes, all that kind of thing, I'd give it to the Philippines. There is a lake, I can't think what it's called, which we went to in Siem Reap. Been there a couple of times. If I can remember it, I'll put it in the thing. But that's quite amazing. They've got these floating villages out there. You know, it's a great place, Cambodia. It just, you know, wasn't for me longer term. I say Siem Reap, great place for a month. You know, pub street's nice. It's a lot of fun down there. There's some great restaurants and things, but a bit like Sikihor. I think you outgrow it after a few months. So take into account the poverty, take into account, you know, the fact that I thought I'd outgrow it, take into account the language difficulties and things. Cambodia was never really for me long term. But I met a lot of expats over there who love the place, you know, they love it. They wouldn't go back to Thailand, you know. It's one of those places, it's either for you or it's not. It's like the Philippines. It's either for you or it's not. You know, we're all different. We all look for, you know, different things in life, you know. At the end of the day, it's not the place, it's your frame of mind, you know. It's, if you love it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. What else is there to talk about? I made a list here, I'm just scrolling down. Healthcare, sorry. Pretty damn awful in the Cambodia. If what I've read and what I've been told is true, healthcare is inferior to the Philippines. I believe there are some good hospitals in Phnom Penh, but Siem Reap, pretty poor. Told again, I don't want to, you know, these are what I've told. Fortunately, I never had to go to a hospital or seek medical care in Cambodia, but language can be a problem. A lot of the doctors don't speak any English, and if the rumours are true, you'll get your doctor claiming to be a doctor who isn't actually a doctor. A lot of people told me when I was over there, expats, that they would head back to Thailand if there was anything wrong with them. And there are a few doctors apparently who are good, who can speak English, and they've got some experience, you know, working in hospitals in other countries, and they're very popular. They got lists and that, you know. When you get talking to expats, they will tell you which doctors to go to and which not to. But I don't think it's a place you're going to want to have surgery or anything like that. Philippines, I would imagine, is a lot better. You've got several apparently good hospitals in Dumaguete, lots of good ones in Cebu, lots of good ones in Manila. So if you're comparing the healthcare systems between Cambodia and the Philippines, I think is much of a higher standard here. And there seems to be a theme here. A hell of a lot of the doctors and nurses that you will meet in hospitals over here have worked in Western countries. I imagine it's because of the English. You know, they find it easy to get jobs. Don't know, you'll get many doctors and nurses in Cambodia who have worked in Western countries. So in terms of healthcare, I think you've got to give it to the Philippines. So really, culture is probably the last thing. Cambodian culture is, it's a Buddhist country. It's interesting. It's an interesting culture. They've got lots of monuments and things like temples and Angkor, thousands of years old. Amazing to go and see. Obviously, the country went through a hell of a bad time during the Khmer Rouge years, and you know, Pol Pot and all the rest of that. And it's left a scar on the country. You see lots of people walking around with missing limbs and things from landmines, and you know, there's museums you can go to where you meet some veterans who fought in the war, and you know, it was a terrible. It's left a scar on the place. But the people are great and the culture's great. I say it's more conservative. People are a bit more reserved. That's the word I was looking for. But it's a bit like that in Laos. You go to Laos, you know, people struggle. They're not so hot on eye contact and they'll look down. And they're good people, I'm sure, but they're just more reserved. I mean, what can you say? Not as happy-go-lucky and outgoing as you say your Thais or your Filipinos seem to be. But it's a culture where it's a country where you could learn a lot. You know, as I've said before, I like to learn about different cultures. I like to get to know the people, and I think you could spend a few years in Cambodia and still, you know, learn something every day about the culture and things. Whereas not so much in the Philippines. Philippines has been very westernized over the last few hundred years. Big French influence in Cambodia for obvious reasons. You know. With the old French Empire and things, but an interesting country, Cambodia, an interesting country. Definitely worth a visit. Month there's fantastic. Living there full time, not for me. I think to live there full time, you really have to be prepared to make an effort that you don't have to make in the Philippines in terms of learning a language and things. A lot of expats, I think, that get over there, they've married a Kuma who they may well have met in Thailand, because a lot of Kumas go up and work in, same as they do from Myanmar. They go and work in like the tourist destination. So I think a lot of the expats, they meet a wife and they go down there. I mean, whenever I went there and stayed long term, it was always with my girlfriend. And she enjoyed it because, you know, Thais like the travel and, you know, trying different foods and things, but she'd never moved there long term, you know. It's just a nice place to go, for a great place to go for a holiday. But the expats, you either love it or you don't. A lot of the expats over there won't go anywhere else. But it's hard to buy stuff and things, you know. It's like, you know, one of the things I noticed, because I used to be on one of the old CME forums, well, I still am. People will be selling second-hand stuff there, like furniture and things like that, for very expensive prices. You know, it's like, you know, tatty old stool or chair or computer desk for like $25, $30, you know. You could buy that new on the Zada here, you know, for half the price. So it's a strange country, that, you know, it's got a lot going for it. But not for me as a permanent destination. So, yeah, we discussed visas. Give it to the Philippines. Ease of language, go to the Philippines. Cost of living, obviously it depends on the town, the city, the lifestyle you want. But I think Cambodia would get it. I can't see how Cambodia wouldn't get it. I mean, it's like anyway, you get a few people here who say they live on $1,000 a month. You'll get a load in Cambodia say they live on $1,000 a month. If I was living on $1,000 a month, I think you could probably have a better food and things and accommodation, etc. in Cambodia. But equally, you get a lot of expats saying you can't live on $1,000 a month in the Philippines, and you'll get a lot of expats in Cambodia saying, when you put everything together, it's no cheaper than Thailand. So who knows? Expat communities, again, very different, but they are there. You've got large expat communities in each country, so if you want to, you know, network with expats, it's doable. You get a lot of English teachers and a lot of people there, you know, doing like volunteer work and things, and they can be very interesting people. Obviously, you don't get that in the Philippines to the same extent because English is widely spoken here, so you don't need English teachers and things. Because Cambodia is such a poor country, there's lots of projects, and you know, you get a lot of people over there doing good work, and they can be fun to be with. Infrastructure, I'm going to give it to the Philippines. Healthcare, I'm going to give it to the Philippines. Culture, I find it a very interesting place, Cambodia, but that might not be for you. You might want your Western. Yeah, I always think of Philippines. I'm not knocking it because I'm in the Philippines now. I like the Philippines, but I always think of it as being Asia light, in the terms it's so like, you know, Westernized compared to Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, etc. If you're considering the two countries and you want an adventure, then I recommend Cambodia. If you're looking for living on a budget, an easy life where you don't have to learn a language, you know, etc., it's the Philippines. Anyway, I'll end it now because I've gone on a bit and I feel a bit uncomfortable with this video because people have asked me to do it. I'm more comfortable doing it with Thailand versus somewhere because I know Thailand a lot better. So I've only really had a year if you put it all together in Cambodia. So I'm no expert, but I have experiences in the Philippines and Cambodia. People have asked me to make the video. So I've made the video. Hopefully you'll like it. If you do, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, it'd be great if you did. But whether you do or you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, be lucky.